Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Fatma Vera. Today we're gonna talk about The Country of the Blind by G.Wells. Actually, we're gonna analyze this short story. The Country of the Blind is one of G.Wells' finest short stories, published in the Strand magazine in 1904 and then collected in Wells's short story collection The Country of the Blind and Other Stories in 1911. It belongs to his early phase when, during the 10 or so years following the publication of his first book, The Time Machine, in 1895, he produced the majority of his best work. The Country of the Blind is rich in symbolism, as perhaps any story based around blindness and sight is destined to be, especially in the hands of one of the pioneers of science fiction, and what we would now call speculative fiction. Yes. Let's start with the summary. The story is about this mysterious valley in South America where a community grew up, separated from the rest of civilization. A disease struck the community, which meant that people went blind until each new generation was born completely sightless. A man from Ecuador named Nunes, while acting as a mountain guide for some Englishmen, falls and ends up amongst this country of the blind. He has heard the legend about them and regards the whole thing as an adventure. He recalls the old proverb. What is that? In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and thinks he will teach them about the world beyond their village. When he is taken to see their elders, however, he discovers that over the course of the 14 generations that their people had lived in this valley, they had developed their own world, cut off from the rest of civilization. Their valley was the whole world to them, and birds in the sky were angels with their gifts, or flight in their beautiful song, instead of day and night. They divide the day up into warm and cold. Why? Because they cannot see the light or dark, but can sense the temperature of the land by day and night. Because they don't need to work by daylight, they sleep during the daytime, and work during the cold, so nighttime. Communication between Nunes and the blind is not perfect, and when they are trying to ascertain who is, they misinterpret his responses and believe his name is Bogota. Actually, whereas that is the place where he came from before his fall. The people of the country of the blind view Nunes as someone who has been created so that he might learn from them. Nunes, of course, he has other ideas and wishes to teach and lord it over the blind. His speech is not as beautiful or as elegant as theirs. Their skill with language appears to have developed, presumably because speech was more important to them, as they could not rely on visual cues or observing body language in conversation. Although Nunes believes he is a king among these people, he is a clumsy and useless stranger whose sense of hearing and smell is nowhere near as good as it is among those he considers his royal subjects. They do not recognize such concepts as sight and blind. These words do not figure in their vocabulary. He seeks to amaze them with his knowledge of what the world looks like and the stars beyond, but they disbelieve him, arguing that the world ends at the edges of their own valley and that there is a roof of stone over the world instead of the sky. Becoming increasingly frustrated that his plan to become their king has not proved as easy to implement as he would hoped. Nunes gets angry one day and picks up a spade, meaning to strike one of them down. He keeps repeating to himself, in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. However, he finds that he cannot morally bring himself to hit the blind person in cold blood. And when the blind all gather against him, armed with their own spades, he runs away. However, he cannot survive for long on his own without food, and so he ends up going back to them and submitting to them, apologizing for his former behavior and telling them what he knows they wanted to hear, that he was mistaken when he said he could see, and that there is a stone roof over the world. Yes, yes, totally, yes. And then they argue there's Nunes becomes a citizen of the country of the blind and is attracted to a young woman who is that Medina Sorote, who is unmarried because her face does not conform to ideals of feminine beauty among the blind, but very much appeals to Nunes, since she has long eyelashes and lacks the sunken eyes which the rest of the blind have in this world. The two of them fall in love, and Nunes ventures to tell her about the beauty of sight. She listens and appears to understand. However, Jacob, her father, forbids them to marry because he views Nunes as an idiot who has delusions. Jacob can see how much his daughter loves Nunes, however, so he speaks to one of the other elders, a doctor, who examines Nunes and says that the problem with Nunes' brain seems to stem from his eyes, which are unlike those of the blind. He proposes a surgical operation to remove Nunes' eyes, so he will be cured and can then marry Medina Sarote. Nunes resists the proposal at first, but Medina Sarote tells him he should go through with it for her, so they will be allowed to be together. Although she seems to understand Nunes' gift or sight, she knows that her father will not allow them to marry unless her would-be husband is cured of his ability to see. He agrees to this reluctantly, but when they arrive for the operation to be carried out, he finds he cannot go through with it. So much does his sight mean to him, so he leaves the village and begins to long climb up the mountains, so that he might escape the country of the blind and get back to Bogota and civilization. The story ends with him lying peacefully contented under the star when night comes. Yeah, let's look at the analysis. Like all of Wells's best fiction, The Country of the Blind is packed full with symbolic meaning, but it's not easy to see what meaning or interpretation we are supposed to take from it. The story might be viewed as a warning about the dangers of colonization, with Nunes thinking himself superior to the blind because he comes from mainstream, civilization, and they do not have the same knowledge and view of the world as he does. Of course, if we analyze this story as a sort of allegory for imperialism, we would have no choice but to conclude that the story of allegory for imperialism, we would have no choice but to conclude that the story represents an example of tall poppy syndrome, where an arrogant person is cut down to size. Nunes ends the story by running away from the people he sought to colonize. So if this is what we view the story as representing, his imperial venture is a resounding failure. However, such a reading only goes so far, and it might be more productive to view The Country of the Blind as a story about the clash of the individual versus the collective. The shared perspective of the blind in the story is what allows their community to function. They are united by the fact that none of them is able to see, so that the very concept of sight has fallen out of their lexicon. When a man with the gift of sight shows up and wishes to teach them about their ignorance, they respond with hostility and disbelief. In their view, is quite the word. Nunes must adapt to their way of life or remain an outsider. In this respect, it perhaps makes more sense to read The Country of the Blind as a forerunner to later 20th century dystopias of Orwell, Huxley, Bradbury, and others in which the individual finds themselves at the mercy of the system. What adds credence to such an analysis is the fact that we as readers know the Nunes view of the world is correct. There really is a world beyond their small valley, and there is a sky full of stars above them, not a stone roof that marks the limit of the world. But ignorance is hard to overcome when the knowledgeable number just one man and the ignorant are many. This is not to say, of course, that Nunes is right. From the outset, he views his arrival in their village as an adventure and has delusions of becoming their king. In this respect, Jacob's use of that very word, delusions, to describe Nunes's beliefs is correct. Not because Nunes is wrong about the world, but because he has underestimated the power of the many against the will, however wrong the many are, and regardless of how right and few may be, like Winston Smith. And at the end of the Orwell's 1984, Nunes must undergo his corrective treatment. In this case, the removal of his eyes, but his experience among the blind also affects his mind too. Yes. This is akin to what we might now call gaslighting or psychological condition. The blind are so used to their own lack of sight and so convinced that their visitors must be deluded in thinking the world different from the way they envision it. Again, not the most apt word, that they feel that Nunes must be talked about of his wrong thing until he even starts to doubt the proof of his own eyes. In the last analysis, though, even this reading may fall short of encapsulating all that the story means and all that it might mean to different readers. It is not an allegory, because blind and sight cannot be reduced to a simple x equal y equation in this story. It is, however, rich in symbolism, however we might choose to see those symbols. Okay, lastly, what happened in the small town which people got blind? There was an accident. There was a huge earthquake. The village is being cut with surrounding with mountains. After happened, these people lost their eye vision. The whole town is blind, even birds. After this, people says that the next generation thinks the situation is natural. These people, opposite than normal people, they think warm times they should sleep, cold times they should stay awake. The other side of blind country is so normal, and they're separate with the earthquake and they didn't know. Nunes feels himself superior and lucky than the others, but they pity him and they think he has one eye, but we have two eyes and we are blind. Nunes tells the colors and how beautiful things they are, but they only know black color and they don't understand him. Blind people very good at hearing and touching. Blindness doesn't mean they are helpless. If you lose your eye vision, you will develop your other skills. And Medina is so beautiful than the others. Beauty in the eye of the beholder is important proverb. Beauty is a matter of personal taste. Medina less than ordinary for blind people, but for Nunes is opposite too. And they fell in love with each other. She believes to him, but her father thinks Nunes is idiot because he is different from them. A theme of expecting the other. In today, this show yourself like racism, nationality and personality gender problems. Villages' doctors suggest if Nunes gets blind, he will cure and seem normal. The day will be operation, he run away from there. He feels sad for being one-eyed before, but now he feels much grateful and happy for can see and has one eye. Nothing important than being healthy. Blinding and seeing symbol of blindness is stand for fanatism, means support extreme things. Blindness seems disabled eye vision, but blindness is actually mental problem. Seeing things logical, making sense. The town is narrow-minded. Nowadays people think that is not unfamiliar like religious society. This society make town is undeveloped. The society finds threat Nunes for his one eye. Everything represents own self and own identity. Even there is some brightness, hope and love, the fact is doesn't change. Because both parties failed to embrace their fullness. And she wouldn't change him one-eyed. Love is the respect and accept how you are. Nunes sacrificed gift of beauty, but if you unrespect for your lover, you will lose him. Nunes appreciate his one eye and far beyond the love dump. So what are the moral lessons we talk about? In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Beauty in the eye of the beholder. Nothing important than being healthy. Love is respect and accept how you are. That's all, guys. Thanks for listening. See you later. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.